Hello, my name is Jonathan Harris from Worldwide Camera Exchange, and today we're going to talk about Hasselblad lenses and in particular what to keep an eye open for if you're buying second-hand Hasselblad lenses. Now predominantly we're going to focus on the C-type lenses. This is a C-type lens here. The C lenses have an inbuilt shutter. So the exposure control is all done from the lens, the aperture is in the lens, the shutter is in the lens, and the body itself is just basically a dark box. You will come across the F series lenses. Now the F series lenses work with the 2000 series cameras and rely upon an inbuilt focal plane shutter in the camera. So basically F-series lenses for the focal plane cameras, the C-series lenses for the non-focal plane cameras. Now the vast majority of Hasselblad users will use these 500 series cameras with the leaf shutters in the lenses, as those I'm going to focus on now. The oldest Hasselblad lenses you'll come across on the second-hand market dates all the way back to the 1960s. So anything you're looking for could be up to 50, 55 years old. So if you're buying particularly the very oldest lenses, you do have to choose very carefully and know exactly what to look out for. Fundamentally, regardless of how old the lenses are, there are three checks you'll need to make with these lenses. You'll need to look at the cosmetics, you'll need to look at the mechanics, and you'll need to look at the optics. So I'll just run through those now. First of all, then look at the cosmetics. Just take the caps off, take it off the camera, and just look at the wear around the lens mount. Look at the wear around the filter thread and around the lens hood mount on the external bayonet here. That'll give you a very good idea just how much the lens has been used. These are workhorse cameras. Don't expect them to be perfect. If you can find a perfect camera with a perfect lens, fantastic. But you're more likely to see a little bit of wear. What you want to do is to really avoid the most worn lenses. Personally, I'd rather have a bit of wear on a lens and know it's been well serviced than a brand spanking new lens that has never been serviced. I think a well-serviced lens, even if it has been used a fair bit, will still work very well for a long time to come. One thing to bear in mind, just quickly, when you're looking at these lenses, is that the older C-style lenses, so these are the lenses with the heavy knurling on the focusing and the heavy knurling on the shutter speed dial. These lenses, some of the spares can be hard to get hold of. So do take that into consideration if you're buying a lens. They don't often go wrong, and often when they do, a service will be all it needs to sort them out. But if spares are needed, some of the very early lenses, that can be an issue. So just check with the person you're buying from, check the age of the lens, and just satisfied yourself that they are serviceable. Generally speaking, the newer style lenses like this with the rubberized focusing rings are okay. So look at the cosmetics, just make sure that it isn't massively worn. Obviously make sure there are no big dings, no big dents. Then move on to the mechanics. The first thing I'd always check is the slow speeds. Stick it onto a camera, set it to a second on the top there, and just fire it. You always remember to take the dark slide out, otherwise it won't fire. So take the dark slide out and fire it. You can't time it's exactly a second. You're just listening to make sure that each time you fire it, it is consistent. Move on to half a second. Again, just make sure that the sound is consistent. You can hear it's not sticking, you can hear it's not closing prematurely. And just go through to an eighth, a 15th. And you can hear the shutter sound just changing each time you move up through the shutter range. Finally, stick the dark slide back in. Take the what am I doing here? Take the back off the camera. Dark slide in. Take the back off the camera. Stick it on a 500th of a second, and open it up to 2.8. And just look through the camera. It's a bright source of light. You want to make sure that you can see a little flash of light as you fire the shutter. You're not checking it's a 500th of a second. What you're checking is that the shutter is opening. If these shutters need servicing, then the slow speed will start sticking and the top speed won't open. So check the top speed is opening, check the slow speeds aren't sticking, and you can be sure that everything in between is going to be absolutely spot on. It's also worth just looking at the aperture and making sure the aperture is closing down as it should be. I've never come across a faulty aperture on a Hasselblad lens, so I don't think you'll come across an issue there. It's also worth just checking the focusing, just making sure it's nice and smooth. If it's notchy, it could be a sign it's been knocked, but as you've already checked the cosmetics, you should have ruled that out. Sometimes they can be a bit tight. That just means it needs servicing. Not a big issue, but obviously do allow for the cost of the servicing if you're negotiating to buy the thing. So you've checked cosmetics, you've checked the mechanics. Now the third thing, which is probably the most important, is the optics. Have a look through with a bright source of light in the distance, and just make sure there's no misting or no fungus inside. Fungus looks like little spots with like spidery legs coming out. If you can see anything like that, then just walk away. Fungus is an absolute nightmare. It's almost impossible to get cleaned, and it can affect other equipment too. So if you can see misting or spidery-like stuff inside, just walk away. Look at the front element, look at the back element. Make sure there are no scratches. Now with the older lenses, scratches are almost inevitable. So a few little scratches will impact performance, not one jot, but they do obviously impact the price. So if there are scratches, don't expect to pay as much, and nobody should ask as much for a lens that's scratched as a perfect lens. A lot of scratches could be an issue, possibly if you're stopping right down and shooting into the sun, you might get a bit more flare. So what I would say is avoid fungus like the plague, avoid heavily scratched lenses. A few little marks, not an issue, but just make sure the price reflects the fact that those marks are there. So you've checked the optics, you've checked the mechanics, you have checked the cosmetics, and you're happy. It's also a good idea to put a film through if you can, especially if there are some marks on the lens, just to satisfy yourself that they're not going to affect the performance. But don't just rely on a film, because it's a film in isolation won't highlight some of the issues I've talked about here. It won't show you this fungus. It won't necessarily show you that the slow speeds aren't firing every time. So go through the checks I've just talked about here, and then check a film, and if it passes, check with a film rather, and if it passed all those points, then fantastic, you've got a good lens. So in summary, check the cosmetics, check the mechanics, check the optics, put a film through if you can, and if you're happy with the results, if you're happy with all of those checks, then go for it. You'll have a good lens. It'll probably last for years and years and years. I mean, don't forget, these things do need to be serviced occasionally. Once every 3 or 4 years, it's a good idea to get them serviced, and that'll guarantee their performance for another 3 or 4 years to come. So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any comments, please stick them in the box below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.